two pilgrims set sail on the Mayflower. The 2-month journey was beset with storms. At one point, the beam under the main mast cracked, being propped back into place using the screw of a printer's press. One youth was rescued after being swept overboard by a freezing wave. A boy died, a mother gave birth. Intending to land in Virginia, they were blown off course. In that first bitter winter, half died. Governor Bradford wrote, "Last and not least, they cherished an inward zeal for the advance of the gospel of the kingdom of Christ in the remote parts of the world."
This has been an American Minute with Bill Federer. For a free transcript, call American Minute at 1-888-USA-WORD.
VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at VCYAmerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
Thank you for joining us on Crosstalk today here on VCY America. And ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the news. Yes, the second assassination attempt has been foiled, this time taking place at Trump Golf Course in Florida. And truly disturbing information that's been coming forth from the state of Florida, from Secret Service, from the sheriff, from those that are entrusted to care for the safety, the well-being, not only of the current president, but certainly former presidents as well, and now Republican nominee for the office of presidency. Before we unfold some of the matters from yesterday, I would like to look at what happened not long ago, before the second attempt was made. And that is that Melania Trump, for instance, had recently, well, matter of fact, she's releasing her book called Melania. It's set to be released next month. And she released a video in which she called attention to the events of July 13th, the first attempted assassination of her husband. And she did this. I'm going to play for you the audio. What you will not see, though, is the video, because Don Lemon, as you know, former commentator from CNN, and yes, he had some news every now and then, that's my opinion, he went about mocking Melania Trump, belittling her over her concerns and questions surrounding the July 13th assassination. So you're going to have to use the picture of your mind. Put this picture in your mind as she is saying these words. He used this video for his own social media, editing himself at the bottom of the screen and reacting to the statements that she is making, shaking his head and rolling his eyes and putting his face in his hand. Well, let's listen to what Melania Trump had recorded before this second incident happened.
The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience. Now, the silence around it feels heavy. I can't help but wonder, why didn't law enforcement officials arrest the shooter before the speech? There is definitely more to this story, and we need to uncover the truth.
Indeed, there is more to the story. The truth does need to be uncovered, and shame on Don Lemon for, again, I can't show this to you, but he's putting his face in his hands, rolling his eyes, and just mocking Melania Trump as she is sharing these concerns. Why was that shooter not stopped before that bullet whizzed? He had been on the FBI's radar. We know that, to know that he was on a white roof. Yes, it was barely slanted, and how he got there and into that the area around the location where President Trump was speaking. But friends, as she's asking this question, she's being mocked by Don Lemon. Now, we understand he's since removed this from TikTok, Fox News has reported. But Don Bongino, who is also a former Secret Service and certainly concerned about the safety and well-being of the presidents, he went before Congress and shared openly, warning that there was going to be another attempt coming up. Jared Stepman from from the Daily Signal had put this together. I'd like you to hear what he had to say, and including a clip from Don Bongino.
There are two main candidates running for president right now, and one of them has faced 2 actual assassination attempts. On Sunday afternoon, Secret Service agents spotted a rifle pointing through a chain-link fence bordering Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach, where the former president was golfing at the time. The suspect has been identified as Ryan Routh, per the New York Post. According to the West Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, the security measures around the golf course were lighter than usual, since Donald Trump is not the current sitting president. Here's what former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino warned members of Congress following the Butler assassination attempt.
Mr. Bongino, in your opinion, is the Secret Service in a better spot today with Director Rowe in charge?
No, it's worse. And sadly, I'm glad this is all being recorded, because when something else happens, and I hope it doesn't, I pray to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that I'm wrong. That you play this and go, look, that guy was crazy. You think this is the last incident, you're out of your mind.
If you think this was the last incident, you're out of your mind. That's what he testified before Congress. And yesterday, again, Donald Trump, the target of an attempted assassination at his golf club in West Palm Beach, Florida. That's how it's been characterized by law enforcement. CBN News says U.S. Secret Service agents posted a few holes up from where Trump was playing. Notice the muzzle of an AK-style rifle sticking through the shrubbery that lines the course roughly 400 yards away. An agent fired, and the gunman dropped the rifle and fled in an SUV, leaving the firearm behind, along with 2 backpacks, a scope used for aiming, and a GoPro camera. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw said the man was later taken into custody in a neighboring county. He returned to Mar-a-Lago. President Trump did, his private club in Palm Beach, where he lives, according to a person familiar with the Trump movements. This was a story that first came out yesterday. But very interesting falling out that is taking place here with all of these events. Now, President Trump, I'd like to play for you another coverage. This is from 7 News out of Australia as they gave an assessment of what took place yesterday.
His golf course, tonight a crime scene. The former president whisked home under guard to his nearby Mar-a-Lago estate as the man intent on taking his life, Ryan Wesley Routh, stares down an FBI interrogation.
This is about good versus evil.
Online posts paint a picture of a man in his 50s and highly critical of Donald Trump, a list of prior run-ins with the law. Lately, he was committed to enlisting foreign fighters in Ukraine.
My initial goal was to come fight.
And the FBI says fighting was his goal today.
The U.S. Secret Service personnel opened fire on a gunman located near the property line.
That line, the Trump International Golf Course. The Republican nominee was between holes 5 and 6 when the advanced Secret Service details spotted the threat some 300 metres from the former president and opened fire.
He was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual.
Trump was bundled into a golf cart and carried away to the clubhouse where he was locked down. The gunman's high-powered weapons seen here with backpacks and a camera.
I think one has like a rifle.
As he made a run for it.
Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes, and they spotted the vehicle and pulled it over.
Confirming his safety, Donald Trump pictured smiling, a thumbs up with Speaker Mike Johnson before declaring, "Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender." He's now survived 2 attempts on his life in just 2 months.
What is clear is that President Trump is safe. That is a good thing.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
Vice President Harris wishing her rival well, reiterating violence has no place in America.
That news report coming from 7 News Australia. Sean Hannity of Fox News, resident of Palm Beach, says the shooting happened on the 5th hole of the Trump's golf game. Within seconds, the Secret Service pounced on the president, covered him, and mentioned you had snipers with tripods. I'm going to share with you what Sean Hannity reported to Fox News last evening.
Anyway, so long story short is President Trump, they were on the 5th hole. They were about to go up to putt. and the way Steve Witkoff. Now, just as a little bit of background, Arthel, I happened to go to breakfast with Steve Witkoff and another friend of mine this morning, and I was invited to play golf. They happen to be really good golfers. I don't have a lot of time to play golf, so I said thank you, but I'm not going to go out on the golf course and get killed out there. But long story short, so they were playing, they were on the 5th hole. And the way Steve described this, the way the president described it, they both had exactly the same story, which was that they heard pop, 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 pop. And Steve went into great specificity and great detail as to what happened right after. Within seconds, the Secret Service pounced on the president, covered him. You had snipers with tripods. They knew the direction where the shots had been fired, and they had eyes on the location where the shots had been fired. And long story short, they were. I have confirmed with both the president and with Mr. Witkoff that the gun has been found. They identified it as an AK-47. And thanks to Secret Service drone video coverage, they were able to identify one individual involved in this shooting getting into a car after dropping the AK-47. And my understanding, according to both of them, is that that car has been identified, and I believe it's been surrounded. Whether or not that person has been apprehended or not, I don't know.
Okay, again, that report filed last night. This was not long after this unfolded. Hannity, though, did you hear him say that law enforcement used drone footage to identify the suspect getting into his vehicle after dropping the firearm? Sean Hannity reporting that last evening. The sheriff of Martin County, this is William Schneider, said he was not armed when we took him out of the car. Witness at the golf course was able to provide law enforcement with a description of the suspect's black Nissan vehicle, as well as the license tag number as well. Well, the other aspect to all of this as well, the sheriff as well, this would be Sheriff Rick Bradshaw talking about the security for President Trump as well at the golf course. This is what he had to say at a press conference.
At this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter.
Yeah, the golf course was not surrounded. It was limited, and therefore, he said, well, next time he goes to play golf, friends, we'd never know. Is there going to be a next time? I mean, had this rifle barrel not been seen protruding through that chain link fence, many of you have seen the photos for this. Also coming from the Epoch Times, a suspected gunman located near the property line of the Trump International Golf Course. President Trump sent out an emailed statement saying that he was safe and well. He said there were gunshots in my vicinity, but before rumors start spiraling out of control, I wanted you to hear this first. I am safe and well, he put all in caps. Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender. I will always love you for supporting me. The Palm Beach Sheriff said at the news conference that officials recovered an AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks that had ceramic tile inside, and a GoPro camera. It's suspected that he had intent on filming firsthand what exactly was going on. From Newsmax.com, President Trump said, I would like to thank everyone for your concern and well wishes. It was certainly an interesting day. Most importantly, I want to thank the U.S. Secret Service, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw and his Office of Brave and Dedicated Patriots, and all of law enforcement for the incredible job done today at Trump International in keeping me as the 45th President of the United States and the Republican nominee in the upcoming presidential election safe. He continued, the job done was absolutely outstanding. I'm very proud to be an American. We're going to be back in 1 minute. You're listening to Crosstalk on VCY America.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, scientist and president of the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, how old is the moon?
Chris, according to evolution, the Earth and the moon are about the same age, nearly 5 billion years old. But there's a problem. We observe that the moon is slowly moving away from the Earth. If you assume that it's always been moving away, then you can calculate how close it was to Earth at some time in the past. 1 billion years ago, the moon would be in contact with the Earth. Scientifically, this could not be. The Bible says that on day 1 of creation week, God created the Earth, but it was on day 4 that he created the moon. They were not ever connected. Chris, it shouldn't surprise us, but the scientific information fits with the biblical information. Science supports Scripture and not evolution or long ages. Let's go back to Genesis and get it right.
To find out more about creation science, visit us on the web at www.icr.org. That's www.icr.org.
You're listening to Crosstalk on VCY America, and yes, yesterday a second assassination attempt foiled, and the suspect apprehended appeared in court this morning. We'll have more about that in just a bit. Washington Examiner reporting that the game delayed after Secret Service agents spotted a rifle barrel that is sticking through a fence. The agents typically stay roughly one hole ahead of Trump when he's playing golf. When they saw the weapon, agents opened fire, sending the suspect fleeing. Ryan Wesley Routh, a North Carolina man who recently moved to Hawaii, was arrested roughly 45 miles north of the club after the incident. A witness had taken a picture of a black Nissan driving away from the golf course after Secret Service agents had opened fire. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, you heard that just a bit ago, not as much security at the course as there would have been if Trump were the sitting president. At the level that he is right now, he said he is not the sitting president, but mentioned that there's going to be a whole lot more people around the perimeter in the future. A Western Journal also reporting Martin County Sheriff William Schneider described the man as being relatively calm and not displaying a whole lot of emotions during the arrest. Folks, we're talking about an assassination attempt. The FBI is on the case. We understand the suspect fled in that vehicle, apprehended. Secret Service agents doing a sweep a couple of holes ahead of the president saw this coming on through. Some things have been learned about Ryan Routh, and one of the aspects of him is certainly that he was recruiting, and he made no bones about some of the issues that he stood for.
Well, the Ukrainians have a right to fight back.
I don't do paper, though.
I don't care if you do paper or not. I'm looking for revolutionaries. I'm looking for people who want to take this whole system down.
I'm looking for revolutionaries. I'm looking for those who want to take the whole system down. And yes, in reference to Ukraine, and he also was interviewed as it relates to Ukraine as well. And this is part of interview that he had conducted.
Please tell me who you are and why are you here?
I'm 56, from the U.S., from North Carolina originally, so live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, you know, any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where, you know, the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another. And it's just a matter of, you know, we need to stand up for that. That is the most important thing in the world, is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that, you know, we all move forward as one collective whole unit.
Yeah, I mean, folks, when you consider that, and that's what we were saying there in Ukraine, but we're saying that, you know, just to show that we are caring, we are kind, we are unselfish. And yet he's trying to take out the attempt. It seems to be very evident why he's there with a rifle barrel pointed between in that chain link fence. couple of backpacks. Not sure what the title's all about here at this point, but the GoPro is seeming to want to record this firsthand. Whether it was going to live stream or not, I don't know. Secret Service spotted the suspect the 2 holes ahead of Trump, prompting him then to flee after they shot. This was about 400 to 500 yards away from the former president, according to the Associated Press. Many are wondering even how he knew he was going to be golfing there that particular day, and why he was there. I mean, he had lived in North Carolina, but moved to Hawaii, and here he is now in the state of Florida. What kind of knowledge did he have? Also, from the Gateway Pundit, they just report that President Trump then, after agents had jumped on, I believe, on top of him, is what the report. They surrounded him, but then placed in a hard room for protection after the shots ring out at his West Palm Beach golf course. That's per law enforcement sources. We also have from the Epoch Times, House Speaker Mike Johnson wrote on X that he met with Trump following what the FBI said was an assassination attempt. And matter of fact, he was on also on Fox News. And let me air his clip, what he had to say.
Mr. Speaker, did you think maybe your meeting was going to be canceled when you heard about the shooting? And what demeanor how would you describe the president when you got to him?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. My wife, Kelly, and I were on the way to Mar-a-Lago when the shooting occurred. And so we were delayed a little bit because they shut down all the traffic. But then we arrived there about the time that President Trump did. We spent about 3 hours with him. He was in very good spirits, as you might expect. That's who he is. He's so resilient, and we were really grateful to see him. You know, I said this, and we'll all be talking about this for quite some time. There's no leader in the history of America that has been so attacked and has remained so strong and so resilient. He's one of a kind. He is not going to stop fighting for the American people, and it was really encouraging for us to sit and visit with him right after that happened.
Mr. Speaker, I know your faith is very important to you, and after the first assassination attempt, what was it, 65 days ago, Donald Trump said it was providential, that he happened to turn his head at the right moment and look at that board, which normally he plays at the end of his rallies. But he said he felt like God was with him during that. Was he mentioning anything like that? I mean, this is the second time someone has tried to take his life. That has to be pretty jarring.
It is. It's a remarkable thing, and Kelly and I spoke with him at great length about that because it is something that no one can deny. God has spared his life twice now, and I told him that it reminded me of the bulletproof George Washington, our first president, who evaded being shot when he was an Army colonel, the famous incident in the French and Indian War. Where they all took shots at him and bullet holes went through his jacket and it didn't take him down. That event took place, ironically, less than 50 miles from where President Trump was shot on the stage at Butler, Pennsylvania. These things aren't accidents. It's not luck. I believe it's providence, and we talked about that. It's a remarkable thing. It would move any man's heart. I think it's moved the president's, and it's just something he's processing right now.
Yeah, that's House Speaker Mike Johnson as he appeared on Fox. Relating to this and those words, that's something he's processing right now. And friends, we need to be praying, indeed, that he knows for sure where he stands, even before Jesus Christ, as it relates to his eternal salvation. By the way, it's President Trump who is being blamed. Democrats have repeatedly blamed him for raising the temperature, have accused him of being a threat to democracy, especially due to the handling of January 6th. And over the weekend, Biden suggested that Trump was trying to incite violence, referring to his comments about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. Interesting indeed. Biden at the event over the weekend said any president should reject hate in America, not incite it. Well, friends, when you talk about the invasion, an invasion that's happening upon our land, and to speak against this, you're accused then of incitement. Well, indeed, we heard from the speaker yesterday. We understand that there are going to be both state and federal charges. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said that he and his wife are glad to hear Trump is safe, saying violence has no place in our country. This was a post on X. It's not who we are as a nation. The Daily Caller points out more information here. The Routh, this is Ryan Wesley Routh, a former roofing contractor from Greensboro, North Carolina, allegedly pointed this AK-47 style weapon at the former president while he's golfing. Routh appears to have donated over $100 to Act Blue, making contributions to the 2020 presidential campaigns of Tom Steyer, Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, and Beto O'Rourke, federal campaign finance records show. In March, Routh voted in the North Carolina Democratic primary, CNN reported. However, he previously appeared to support Trump in 2016 and suggested he has since changed his opinion on the former president. While you were my choice in 2106, I believe that's a typo there, I and the world hoped that President Trump would be different and better than the candidate, but we were all greatly disappointed, and it seems you're getting worse and devolving, he wrote in June of 2020. That's according to CNN. I will be glad when you're gone. Routh tagged President Joe Biden's Twitter account in April, saying his campaign should be called something like KDAF, K-A-D-A-F, Keep America Democratic and Free, while Trump's campaign should be MASA, Make America Slaves Again, Master. Routh also traveled to Ukraine after Russia's February 2022 invasion, despite having no military training, according to the New York Times. In a 2023 New York Times article about American volunteers willing to fight in Ukraine, the newspaper quoted Routh saying he was actively recruiting Afghans who fled the Taliban to fight against the Russians. In a Newsweek interview, Routh said that many conflicts are gray, but the conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. When Routh spoke to the New York Times in 2023, the newspaper reported that he had displayed the self-assuredness of a seasoned diplomat who thought his plans to support Ukraine's war effort were sure to succeed, adding that he apparently had little regard for anybody who didn't agree with him. He shared a Facebook post with the newspaper depicting an American foreigner fighter who allegedly spoke down to him as someone who needs to be shot. Routh's son, Oren, told The Guardian that his father went to Ukraine to make sure, and he used expletives, which we'll not use, but that things were cool and things was not cool because people were fighting and dying. Regarding last week's presidential debate, where Trump did not answer whether he wanted Ukraine to defeat Russia, Oren told the newspaper, meanwhile, this guy is sitting behind his desk, not doing a thing. Fox News is reporting that this morning, the suspect in the second assassination attempt on former Trump laughed and smiled ahead of his first court appearance in Florida. Ryan Wesley Routh, wearing jail scrubs and shackles on his wrists and ankles, walked into court and smiled and laughed about 3 to 4 times as he was speaking to his court-appointed attorney before the hearing began. There's many questions that are being asked. Again, many are wondering, how did he know? What knowledge did he have that President Trump would be golfing there on that particular day? How did he know the time that would be taking place? And certainly there's been a lot of concern that has taken place. Coming from The Blaze, the X-profile, apparently belonging to Ryan Routh, shows his support for President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Ukraine in the war against Russia's invasion. You should visit the victims in the hospital of the Trump rally victims and attend the funeral of the firemen that died. Trump certainly never would. Show the world what real leaders do, Routh apparently told Biden. You and Biden should visit the injured people in the hospital from the Trump rally and attend the funeral of the murdered firemen. Trump will never do anything for them. Folks, certainly Donald Trump had much respect and even honored the one who lost his life. That was intended. The bullet was not intended for the spectator there. He was there to support his candidate that was fully engaged and desired for that to hit President Trump. Well, friends, we've got a break coming up, and I've got a couple other clips here because MSNBC is asking whether Trump is going to tone down his rhetoric in all of this. An attempted assassination twice on his life, and they're asking if he will tone down his rhetoric. Back in a minute here on Crosstalk.
How can three persons be one God? Does the Bible support slavery? Is homosexuality acceptable to God? Hundreds of questions just like these are addressed in the Big Book of Bible Answers by respected Bible scholar Ron Rhodes. Is it okay for Christians to get hypnotized? Is suicide an unforgivable sin? Why was Abel's offering acceptable by God when Cain's wasn't? Consisting of over 400 pages, Ron addresses some of the most common questions about the Bible, about God, Jesus, salvation, angels and demons, prophecy and the afterlife, with clear, concise answers. This is a go-to for the many topics and challenges that come your way. The Big Book of Bible Answers, available from VCY for a donation of $20 or more. Request it with your donation when you call 1-800-729-9829.
You're listening to Crosstalk on VCY America. We're discussing today the second assassination attempt foiled. This happening yesterday. And it was less than, just 2 months ago that we had the last assassination attempt take place in the state of Pennsylvania, this time in the state of Florida. We understand that Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida said that they are going to be launching their own investigation into this second attempted Trump assassination. The president condemned the political violence, saying he will do everything to ensure Secret Service agents continue to protect Trump's safety. It was a statement from Joe Biden in all of this. But Governor Ron DeSantis announcing an investigation into this second assassination attempt. Meanwhile, MSNBC anchor Alex Witt questioned whether former President Trump should consider toning down his rhetoric. Witt and MSNBC political analyst Elise Jordan discussed whether Trump would urge his supporters to take the temperature down. I want you to listen to just a little bit from the matter here from MSNBC.
Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to do that? Because he's going to reach out to his supporters and say, let's take this down. We do not know, again, the source of any gunshot or gunshots. We don't know who's responsible for this. The whole thing has yet to be 100% confirmed from start to finish how this all played out. But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted. And it did seem like he was, just trying to take it down a few notches. But then by the end of his convention speech, we were kind of back to where we started. So I don't know how long this could, this moment of unity for the country where we come together and we say, I don't want any political opposition to be under threat of violence. It's not okay, any threat of violence, we don't want. I would love for us to have a unity type moment, but I think it's probably going to be pretty fleeting, as we've seen in the past.
From townhall.com, not long after news of the shots fired near the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach, Florida came out, Rachel Vindman cracked jokes about yet another attempt on Trump's life. She even doubled down when she was rightly scorned for her response to political violence. Vindman is the sister-in-law of Eugene Vindman, the Democratic nominee in the race for Virginia's 7th Congressional District. Vindman joked, referring to the first assassination attempt, saying, "No ears were harmed. Carry on your Sunday afternoon." Nothing to see here, folks. No concerns, no worries. There was no ears harmed. Friends, that bullet that President Trump took to the ear was intended for his head, was intended for his brains. We all would have seen on live television what had transpired in that particular day. Vindman evidently had some 23,000 replies, over 3,000 quoted reposts taking issue with her post. "Sorry you're triggered," Vindman said in a subsequent post as she added laugh emojis. I mean, no, I'm not. I don't care a little bit, she added about the second assassination attempt. No ears were harmed in all of this. Well, friends, we know that we are just 50 days away now from the 2024 presidential election. As he boarded the helicopter to fly to Delaware before a subsequent trip to Philadelphia on Monday, President Biden said, "Thank God the president is okay," while also saying that the Secret Service needs more help and urging Congress to provide additional resources to help the agency. Trump had already been scheduled to spend Monday at his home in Mar-a-Lago, according to a person familiar with the schedule. That now includes a briefing in person from Ronald Rao, the acting director of the Secret Service. Tonight, President Trump is expected to speak about cryptocurrency live on the social media site X for the launch of his son's crypto platform, followed by an expected return to the campaign trail tomorrow for a town hall in Flint, Michigan. He has appearances later this week in New York, Washington, and also in North Carolina. In August, Trump's campaign disclosed that it had been hacked, said Iranian actors had stolen and distributed sensitive internal documents. The Justice Department is preparing criminal charges in connection with that hack. Republican strategist David Urban, a Trump ally, said that it was too soon to know how that might affect the days and weeks ahead in the campaign, but in his conversations with those in Trump's orbit, he was picking up a deep sense of shock and uncertainty. "We've said unprecedented so many times this year," Urban said. "I don't know if we can even say that word anymore." Reaction flowing in. Representative Paulina of Florida blamed the radical left for its continuous labeling of Republicans and Americans who want to have a safe and prosperous country as threats to democracy. "This irresponsible rhetoric is causing people to get hurt. I just had to report my opponents for soliciting strangers to send threatening packages to my home." She has refused to condemn this and her supporters for doxing me, Paulina wrote. "This election is absolutely one of the most important elections in our history. We cannot bow down to intimidation, violence, and persecution. We must stand strong and bring home the win this November. Our family is praying for President Trump as he has taken on a monumental task," she added. Senator Scott of Florida thanked God Trump was safe, adding that he and his wife are grateful to law enforcement who bravely responded. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Sunday evening that he had been briefed by the acting director of the Secret Service about the second assassination attempt, saying, "I applaud the Secret Service for their quick response to ensure former President Trump's safety. There is no place in this country for political violence of any kind. The perpetrator must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law." House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries echoed Schumer, saying political violence has no place in a democratic society. Two members of the task force in the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump, Chairman Mike Kelly and Ranking Member Jason Crow, released a joint statement after the shooting that the FBI is now investigating as a second attempted assassination. The task force is monitoring this attempted assassination of former President Trump in West Palm Beach this afternoon. We've requested a briefing with the U.S. Secret Service about what happened, how the security responded. The two task force members wrote, quote, "We are thankful that the former president was not harmed, but remain deeply concerned about political violence and condemn it in all forms. The task force will share updates as we learn more." Well, friends, there is concern as well regarding the task force that has been put, and they're seeking to identify information regarding what's happened the first time with the failed Secret Service protection of the president. And they're still gathering answers to many, many questions that lurk. And now there has been a new report that has just been released as it relates to this first assassination attempt. Senator Graham was asked about this on Fox News.
Okay, I want to make sure before you go, Senator, that I ask you about this briefing the Secret Service gave you guys last week about the assassination attempt on President Trump. Senator Blumenthal came out of there and he said people are going to be shocked and appalled and astonished at what actually happened. What's your reaction to what you heard, and when will the rest of us hear the details?
Shocked, appalled, and disappointed. The best thing that can happen is for the Secret Service to go back to the Department of Treasury. They're in Homeland Security. They're lost in a big agency. We need to clean house, but we need to get them back into the Department of Treasury where they did much better. What happened in Pennsylvania was a complete breakdown of the system. We're so fortunate and lucky that they did not kill President Trump. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong, referring to that very first attempt. And the number of questions that are remaining and on the minds of many as it relates to the assassination attempts. The first question, and this is from townhall.com, how long was this man on the FBI's radar, if at all? I mean, there's a disturbing trend, especially concerning mass shootings, where authorities knew about the suspect and did nothing. How many times have we been told that? You know, as it relates to the first assassination attempt, he'd been on the FBI's radar. They've been watching him. Second, how could Routh obtain a firearm when he had a rap sheet that could scale Everest? His criminal record is about 50 pages, some of which were reported in local media. One of the convictions related to the possession of a machine gun. We keep saying we need more laws, to deal with guns. Friends, they're breaking the laws that exist. How is it that he was allowed to have this rifle? Third, how was Routh able to get so close to Mr. Trump? He was within 350 to 500 yards of the former president. But since he's not the sitting president, it was determined that Secret Service protection was not allocated to the perimeter of the golf course, something that the writer of this finds baffling, given that he was shot a little over 2 months ago, shot at and hit. Friends, we're going to open our phone lines to get your reaction to matters that are unfolding here. Our number to crosstalk here is 800-733-9829. That's 800-733-9829 today on Crosstalk. Townhall.com also talks about Orrin Routh, the son of Ryan Wesley Routh, revealed shocking information to the Daily Mail about his father, who's now in the custody of officials after being arrested. Routh's son said the suspect is a registered Democrat and hates Trump like all reasonable people, but is not a violent person. I don't like Trump either, Orrin said. He's my dad, and he's had all he's had is a couple of traffic tickets, as far as I know. That's crazy. I know my dad, and I love my dad, but that's nothing like him. Friends, when you talk about the rap sheet that he's had, going multiple pages, it is more than just a couple of traffic tickets. Orrin told the outlet that he didn't know that his father was in Florida, adding that the 58-year-old gunman was previously living in Hawaii with his girlfriend. Also, when asked if his father ever owned a gun, the 35-year-old son said, "Not that I know of." Oh, friends, and I will tell you this, he did not know his father. He did not know him. If he's not even aware of his owning a gun, and yet you see the rap sheet that is unfolding. Steve Scalise wrote, authorities just acknowledge if President Trump were president, they do more to protect him. He said this must change. There have been 2 attempts on Trump's life. Secret Service must up their level of protection of him to their full capabilities, including expanding the perimeter. Well, friends, we're taking your calls here today on Crosstalk. Our number 800-733-9829. Lat in Racine, Wisconsin, you're on the air.
Yeah, hey, Jim, on this last attempted possible shooting of Donald Trump, it didn't happen, but he obviously tried to shoot Donald Trump. Why aren't Republicans in the Congress and the Senate, are Republicans investigating how these 2 people, the one that shot him and hit him in his ear, the guy, why aren't they investigating about how they're tied to BlackRock and how BlackRock is tied to our government? And I'll take my question off the air. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, well, you gave the question, but of course, this just unfolded yesterday, so I don't believe that they've started a full investigation on the congressional level yet, but there are many concerns, as you're pointing out one of them. What is the connection there? What is the tie? And they've already been engaged in investigation number 1 and unfolding, and friends are getting stonewalled on many accounts. Many of the questions that they're being asked, common questions that one would naturally expect answers to, are and receiving stonewall. We're just finding out today the report just being released pertaining to the first assassination attempt. So with new information coming out now, as you asked the question there, I am confident that there are going to be further investigations that are coming from the Republican committees on this matter. But we'll be back in 1 minute with more of your calls. This is Crosstalk.
For the Worldview Report, I'm Brandon House. Our website is worldviewtube.com. On Monday, September 16th, U.S. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri released a special report on the attempted assassination of President Trump. This would be the first one, not the second one. He reported that the lead agent responsible for the entire Butler visit, including the rally, failed a key examination during their federal law enforcement training to become a Secret Service agent. Apparently, not even qualified to be an agent. Also, the Secret Service intelligence units, they team up with local, state law enforcement to handle reports of suspicious persons. Guess what? They were absent from the Butler rally. My friends, we are in perilous times. The Bible says that would happen. The Bible also commands us to pray for those in authority. Let's do that. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. America is in a very troubling hour.
You're listening to Crosstalk on the VCY American Network and talking about this foiled second attempt as well on the assassination of former President Donald Trump and taking your phone calls today. Let's go to Gregory, South Dakota. Wayne, you're on the air.
Hi, thank you. Probably a lot of people are aware of this, but George Washington wrote about the Illuminati already in America at the very conception of our country, and then later on Winston Churchill wrote about the Illuminati and their influence in world politics and everything. And then JFK wrote about the secret societies that he said were going to be taking away all of the rights of Americans, and that he felt it was his duty to inform the American citizen of his plight, and then he was assassinated. Now Donald Trump's talking about the deep state and the danger that it is presenting to our constitutional freedoms and our way of life and everything. And the end game of all this, as most of our, your listeners know, is one world government, which is a godless, read Revelations. It's all put forth there. And Trump is not perfect, but, like other imperfect humans, he can be used as an instrument of God, and many of us believe that at the very least he can alert us to the dangers that are present in our spiritual world. And I think that, yes, he's not perfect, but he's certainly the best choice to lead our country at this time.
Wayne,
so that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the comments here. By the way, this coming Saturday evening, VCY is sponsoring Gary Kah coming into Southeast Wisconsin here at a VCY rally, founder and director of Hope for the World. And his topic is the Globalist Agenda Exposed. The Globalist Agenda Exposed. Gary speaking on that, free admission, this Saturday night at the Waukesha Expo. Doors will open at 5, begins at 6 Central Time. And for the stations desiring this, we will be broadcasting this over the VCY America Network that evening. Let's go to Lou next. Hi, Lou. You're on the air.
Hello. I was just wondering, sometimes I think about it, in the last 40 years, we've had a problem, I think, with immigration and too many people coming into the country. Of course, the last 4 years has been bad. But it's lack of knowledge, too, of these younger people. I would say 45 and under. They're with the media, and they listen to all lies. They don't ever read about anything or look into it in depth. They just go with the media, so that's another problem. And then any illegal or anybody that's a crook pretty much can get their hands on a gun because they're on the streets. It's not that anybody that's illegal is not going to go to a gun store and try buying a gun.
Well, this was not an illegal alien who did this, but it was a person who was illegal.
I'm just saying illegal person. I'm not talking about illegal alien.
Yeah.
Anybody that's illegal can pretty much get a gun off the street today. Because there's just so many guns. We've had so many guns for hundreds. Well, I love guns, but I'm just saying people they can get a gun because of all the years that guns have been in this country, so there's so many around from World War I.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, it was against the law. It was illegal for him to possess this with his rap sheet. So I think the next caller may be dealing with that too, and that's Jeff and Racine. You're on the air.
Hey, I can't believe you took my call. I really appreciate it. Kind of back to the gun thing, which is just ridiculous. Whatever your political affiliation is, political violence, I completely agree, it's egregious to society. It's out of control. But to your comment about, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you said, how did this guy, I think you alluded to it, like his son, he didn't, he's got a rap sheet that the supposed, not convicted yet, but the guy that his second attempt, he's got a long rap sheet. How did he get a gun? And to the last caller's point, I agree. I think you said, and again, correct me if I'm wrong because I'm driving on the radio. Again, thank you for taking my call. I live in southeastern Wisconsin, and while I was on hold, I'm listening to this Waukesha Expo thing. I want to go to that. You can get a gun anywhere. So my question, kind of to you again, totally respectfully, is you can get a gun anywhere, no matter who you are, and that is, I'm for the Second Amendment, but that's the problem. Even illegally, like this last caller, you can get a gun, whoever you are, whatever age you are, and that is the problem.
But Jeff, we're being told that so we need to have more gun laws. How will more gun laws stop stop from happening what happened on Sunday?
Well, number one, the biggest one, of course, and everyone says it, is like that's what you said. Well, to your point, how did he get a gun? How did he get a gun?
Yeah, it was illegal. He was breaking the law.
He got a gun because he got a gun because again, I'm all for the Second Amendment, but getting a gun and illegal guns are just rampant. So
but that's not an illegal gun to have. It's not an illegal gun, and it's not the guns dealing with this. It's the person behind it. It was illegal. It was against the law for him to have this. We have laws that said what he did was illegal. How is adding more laws to that going to change this?
Well, it's not about the law. It's like, you're perfect. Your question was perfect. How did he get the gun? How did he get the gun?
He got it illegally. He took it illegally, evidently, because it was against the law for him to have a gun. Thank you. Thanks for the questions. Brad is next. You're on the air, West Dallas.
Hey, Brother Jim, you just hit the nail on the head there. I was going to call about this thing about we need more laws. They don't enforce the laws we have now. We got tens of millions of illegal aliens flooding the borders, and they're actively flying more of them in at our air terminals. They turn criminals loose on us after their crimes with no cash bail. And you got courts changing election laws at a whim. They better start enforcing the laws we already have instead of making new ones. It's pointless to make new ones when you don't enforce it to begin with.
Brad, thanks for the call here today. We're out of time on the broadcast. Thank you all for your input on the broadcast today, your responses. And some certainly agree, some disagree. But folks, we're a country in need of reform. And there's a change of heart. It's called repentance that needs to take place. Scripture says that evil men and seducers will wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. And friends, all the more important for us to be salt and light in a world that needs Jesus, a world that needs the gospel. Thanks for listening today to Crosstalk.
You've been listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53208, or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for Crosstalk.